Welcome to the Hidden Heroes Talk Show. My name is Ariel. Today's guest speaker is Jurchenko. He's calling in from San Diego. Thank you for being with us. Very excited to have you. Excited to have this talk. Welcome.
Hey, Ariel. Thanks for having me on. Oh, I'm excited to be here.
Of course. So, before we dive into your book and anything else, will you just introduce yourself? Kind of tell us where you're from, a little bit about your hobbies, what you do, a little background about you.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Well, my name is Jed. I am first and foremost a husband and father to 3 girls. And my book's title is Coffee Shop Inspirations, and as you can probably tell, I love coffee. Also love coffee shops. They are about as real as it gets, and kind of keeping things real is what I'm doing today, because I am out on the road, kind of pulled over by the side with my cell phone plugged into the car and getting to chat with you. So, you got your coffee too.
Yeah.
Right.
So, that's awesome. So, what motivated you to write this book?
There is a lot that motivated me to write this book. Kind of the surface answer is I'm a marriage and family therapist. Love studying psychology. Subject I've been interested in for a while, and love using the tools myself. So in this book, I included just a lot of the practical tools that I use on a daily basis just to grow in leadership and relationship. They've been really meaningful to me, so I wanted to pass them on to others. And then with the families that I work with, these are tools that I teach to foster parents, foster kids every day, and see a lot of positive, life-changing results.
Gotcha. When did your book come out? How long has it been out?
You know, it came out in October, so it's only been out 2 months. But it's out on Amazon, and really kind of the deeper reason for writing this book was about 9 years ago. My life took a huge, huge change, and really wanted to share some information that I wish I had 9 years ago. Now, over the holiday break, I got a chance to download your book and been reading the first couple chapters, and my favorite part is when you start telling your story.
Oh yeah, at the beginning.
Very beginning. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. It started just because I was writing a reflection letter to myself. I was going through a hard time, so I just wanted to sit down and kind of put my thoughts on paper. So it started with that article or letter to myself.
I like that.
That's really cool. So can you tell me what type of book is it? You see, mine's like it's 1 page a day.
Yep.
Is it divided into chapters? Is it little short snippets every single day, or is it more thorough? What kind of book is this?
So it's 7 chapters, very much a self-help book. 5 key things that I wish I knew about 9 years ago. And my story, it sounds like, has some similarities to yours. 9 years ago, I was a children's pastor working in a church. Never thought I was going to be doing anything else. And then my life ended up taking an incredible, crazy twist. Got in a relationship, pretty bad relationship. And really that ended up turning everything upside down for me. Went looking for some answers, seeking answers, was wondering what is going on, how do I fix this? And little background information on me. I grew up in the church, like literally grew up in the church. My dad was a junior high director when I was born. So I actually took my first steps in the main sanctuary.
Gotcha.
You know, went to church every Sunday, went to a private Christian school, then a private homeschool, actually attended seminary. So when all of these crises and trauma and drama hit, I went to the church kind of looking for answers. And what I received was really kind of a catch-all of just start doing the spiritual disciplines. Pray more, read your Bible more, study more, be nicer, kinder, gentler, more loving, and all of these problems should go away. You're smiling and nodding. Unfortunately, I think too many people have heard those answers because I tried them and tried them and tried them, and things got worse.
Yeah.
And of course, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Unfortunately, I lived out that definition for about 4 years, just trying harder doing the same things, and things didn't get better. Eventually, I ended up going back to school to study psychology, and a lot of it was looking for answers to the challenges that I was facing. And as I started to learn that, things started to get a whole lot better. Not in the way that I thought they would, but just a whole lot better. So the real reason for writing this book is if there's people who are in the same situation that I was in, who really just had their whole world turned upside down, and maybe even feel like they're going crazy, just as an encouragement book to know that there's answers out there, and there's really simple things that you can do to start moving things in a positive direction.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Again, listeners, the name of the book is Coffee Shop Inspirations. Jed, where can we find your book?
So it's on Amazon.com.
Okay, awesome. And then you have it in paperback as well as an ebook.
Paperback as well as an ebook, and in there I go through 5 things that I wish I knew. One chapter is entitled "Don't Pick Up the Rope," and it's all about just how to not get caught up in a back and forth tug of war type of argument. There was a time when I thought, if somebody disagreed with me, my job was to explain myself, and if they still disagreed or wanted to argue, then I would explain again. We would just go back and forth and back and forth. And I found myself in a situation where that was happening endlessly. And I was getting advice of, again, be nicer, kinder, gentler, more loving, and it's going to work out. Problem is it didn't work out. And we found ourselves going back and forth, back and forth. And it was crazy. And it's something that I see families do all the time. Still get caught up myself in occasionally. But now I feel like there's tools that I have to not get caught in this back and forth tug of war cycle. One thing I talk about in the book a lot is empathy, and being able to empathize with somebody, but not necessarily agree on the final outcome. So there's times where I might just reflect back to somebody the feelings, hey, this is really hard. I know you don't want to do this. I'm so sorry. And I know when people use these kind of skills and techniques with me, it really helps me as well.
Yeah. I like that. And then you have chapter 2 is about make the best bad choice.
Absolutely. I work with a lot of kids and adults, and even myself, gotten myself in situations where the ideal choice, the one that I really, really want to make, just isn't an option. And it's easy to get stuck. It's easy to know what you want to do and have in your head of what you'd like life to look like, and really not have the option available and just stay stuck. And so I've learned sometimes you just got to make the best bad choice. You look at all the options available, kind of weigh out, the morals, the right and wrongs of the choices, and then do something. But something is almost always better than nothing.
Right.
And it kind of gets momentum, gets you unstuck, which is tough to do, but I've been there, done that. I've been in the situations where just getting up and going again, getting out of bed in the morning felt like swimming through syrup. It was not easy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So during those tough times, a lot of times it's just doing the small things to get the momentum going.
Yeah. There's a quote that I always say, and that's, you can get to the top of Mount Everest with just baby steps. So sometimes we feel overwhelmed with all the stuff that we have to do, but if you just reduce it, just take the baby steps. So whether you're building a mansion or a castle, it's brick by brick, stone by stone or whatever. So it's just focusing on that. Get up, get your day started, get moving. Because I've been there before. I know exactly what you're talking about. We're just getting out of bed was like the hardest thing to do. But you do it and you keep moving, little baby steps, and then sure enough, you look back and you're like, ah, okay, I did it. It was okay.
I like that. You can get to the top of Mount Everest with baby steps. I might borrow that from you sometime if it's all right.
Go for it. It's all yours. Then your next chapter you have focus on the good.
Yes, that is my favorite question to ask people is what's going good?
Nice.
And fun question to ask when you're a therapist because everyone expects you to ask, well, what's wrong, what's going bad, or everyone wants to tell you about their problems.
Right.
And really, I want to always start off by finding out what's going well, what's working, how can we build on that? Because I know when I was going through the difficult things in my life, it was so easy to just hone in on those and not see all the good things that were happening.
It's true. You know, it reminds me, here's another quote, but this is Steve Maraboli, and this was one of my favorites. And it's because sometimes it's really hard to see the good. And so when I was crying my eyes out, I heard his quote, and that was, sometimes view your tears as watering the seeds of your future happiness. As in, it is okay for you to cry right now because you're watering the future. The happiness is coming, so it's okay. And that really put a whole different perspective on, instead of putting myself down and being like, stop crying, stop feeling bad about yourself. No, this is okay. This is the healing process. I'm watering the seeds of my future happiness.
Ariel, I absolutely love it because, now that I look at it, life is good. Not perfect by any means, but very good. And see how all of the challenges really work together to help me grow. Learned a whole lot. I think a lot wiser and smarter than I would have been had they not have happened.
It's true.
And probably a lot more, lot better support to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I host a suicide depression support group, and this is something I say all the time in there, and that is, I guarantee you, every bad thing that happened to me at my past, if I look at it, it's not a bad thing. It was catapulting me forward. Had those bad things, whether it was the breakup, had it not happened, I would have still been at the same place doing the same thing. And that is this is everyone's spiritual vocabulary, their own personal spiritual vocabulary here. Whether it's God, whether it's your higher source, the higher powers, is knocking on you saying, hey, there's more for you, that you're worth more. So if you can take those times and be like, it's okay, I'm being pulled back, I'm about to be catapulted further into life. So reframing it, which I think leads into their next chapter, reframing the problem.
Absolutely. And I put down some of my favorite reframes in that chapter. Things like, it's an adventure. And today when my schedule got tweaked more than I wanted it to be, and instead of being at home in front of the computer where I'd love to be, I said, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to pull over by the side of the road, and this is going to be an adventure. It's not horrible. It's not awful. It's not terrible. We're going to try this out and see how this adventure works.
For sure.
But it's easy to get caught up in that cycle when you've got a picture in your head of how you think things should be, and then all of a sudden you start awfulizing the situation, telling yourself this is horrible, this is awful, this is terrible, I can't stand it. I use the analogy of you take lemonade and try to make it into lemons, which is impossible to do, but sometimes we do ridiculous things like that. We take things that are good or not all that bad and really blow them up in our minds and make them horrible events when they don't have to be.
Very true. And then your last one, which I feel is one of the most important, is take care of you.
Absolutely. And that's something I've been learning a lot about lately. Just had our third daughter, Addison, who is thank you, 5.5 months old. But as a therapist, I'm learning more and more how important self-care is, and I've got kind of a embarrassing story to tell that's taught me the importance of just simple self-care. About a week after Addison was born, I was down at the tennis courts with my two other daughters and Addison, and watching the girls play tennis, giving my wife a break. And one of our neighbors comes up, looks at Addison, and says, "Oh, she's so cute. What's her name?" And my mind just went blank. I sat there, turning beet red, had to look over at my father-in-law and say, "I don't remember my daughter's name for anything." And it was just night after night of not getting the sleep, not getting the rest, being exhausted. And all of a sudden, in that moment, my brain didn't work. We had been talking about her for months and months. And, you know, it really kind of drove home the point, though, that I need to take care of myself. And whether it's eating or exercising, just the simple things, when we don't do that, I don't think we always realize how much it affects us and impacts us.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so important because everything around us is a reflection of what's going on inside. So if you're, anytime I hear people saying I'm in an argument with my boyfriend, girlfriend, friends, I'm usually like, okay, well, what's going on inside of you that's reflecting or attracting that type of scenario right now? And a lot of times it's being quiet with yourself, slowing down, maybe you need to sleep, maybe you need to eat a better breakfast, but self-care is so important, and it's really the key. You cannot help anybody else until you help yourself. You have to start inward.
Absolutely. And that's really what this book is all about, is just simple things that you can start doing right now to make life a little bit better. Because I was in that point where I didn't need deep new strategies or deep new insights right away. It was really just self, finding a few good things that were happening, reframing the problems, letting go of some of the arguments, and finding different ways to manage. That was really the most helpful.
That is awesome. I love it. Again, the name of the book is Coffee Shop Inspirations. It's available on paperback as well as ebook version. And that's on Amazon, you said, right?
It's on Amazon, yep. Subtitle is Simple Strategies for Building Dynamic Leadership and Relationships. So
nice. Well, our time
really all
done.
about simple.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it's all about just simple things that you can start doing right now. And I didn't put it in the title, but I did very much write this book. I'm a seminary professor, college professor, did very much write it from a Christian perspective, Christian worldview. So it's not for everybody, but did want to share that just because it's not in the title or subtitle.
Gotcha.
But wanted to write a book for people who are looking for answers at work, and not just wanting to go back to the spiritual disciplines of pray more, study more, trust God, and things will change, which are all good things to do, but there's also things that we can do that directly address the problems. And so wanted to show how the two go together and work together. So Ariel, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. I'm excited. I'm going to look up your book for myself as well. I'm always trying to recommend good books to my support groups. Before we go, though, will you share, do you have a quote or affirmation or a scripture that resonates well with you that you want to share with us?
You know, because I shared a little bit from my own life, I think if somebody was in a similar situation that I was in, I would just encourage you to push through the pain, to keep going. It does get better.
Yeah. You know, there's one thing I've learned in my suicide work, and that's even at the point of suicide when things seem so dismal and black and horrible, the doctor's goal, after someone has attempted suicide, the doctor's goal is to merely keep you alive, because even they know that nothing is concrete. So not even the biggest amount of pain is concrete. Everything is in a cycle of life, whether it's the trees, flowers grow, the flowers die, the waves come in, the waves go out, the sun rises, the sun sets. Everything is in a cycle. So even if you're at your deepest despair, your hardest of times, if you can hold on to that truth that it won't always be this way, eventually it'll change. And then you can start to allow the change to happen.
There's a lot of people who've been there, done that. They've gone through the challenges, gone through the dark times, and come out on the other side and been better and stronger for it. So I love it. There's definitely hope.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jed Jurchenko. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're one of our hidden heroes. Thank you for tuning in. Again, you're listening to Ariel with Hidden Heroes. Thank you. Thanks for being with us.
Ariel, thank you. It was great talking to you.
Absolutely. Everyone have a fantastic afternoon.